What if the royal crown of Britain carried not only power and privilege, but a curse older than the empire itself? Beneath the glittering gold of coronations and the echoes of church choirs lies a story the world was never meant to hear, a tale whispered through palace corridors and written between the bloodlines of kings. The House of Windsor, the most recognizable monarchy on earth, has reigned for just over a century, yet its roots stretch deep into dynasties touched by tragedy, madness, and mysterious deaths. From the moment King George V changed the family name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor in 1917, an unseen shadow seemed to settle over the throne, as if history itself demanded payment for the disguise. Was the rebranding of the royal lineage an attempt to outrun a curse, or did it awaken it? As the First World War raged and the monarch severed ties with his German relatives, astrologers of the court warned that destiny could not be rewritten so easily. They spoke of an omen hidden within the family crest, a secret sigil linking the Windsors to an ancient European prophecy of a bloodline marked by sorrow. Through the decades that followed, tragedy stalked the family with uncanny precision. A series of accidents, divorces, exiles, and premature deaths that mirrored the warnings of the old texts. The curse, they said, would not destroy the monarchy but ensure its heirs would never truly know peace. Look closely, and the pattern emerges. King George VI, thrust unwillingly onto the throne after his brother's abdication, suffered from a lifelong stammer and a failing heart that mirrored the unease of a nation at war. His daughter, Elizabeth II, ascended as a beacon of duty, yet spent her reign watching the marriages of her children crumble in public view. Princess Margaret's heartbreak, Prince Andrew's disgrace, Diana's fatal crash in Paris. Each chapter reads like a thread in a tapestry woven by unseen hands. Even before Elizabeth's reign began, the line had been haunted. Some historians trace it back to the legend of Prince John, the epileptic son hidden away in the early 20th century, whose lonely death at 13 was said to fulfill the first line of a chilling rhyme found in Queen Victoria's private papers. One child lost to mind, or bone one to fire and one to throne. Could it be coincidence or a family curse disguised as history? When Victoria herself reigned, spiritualism was sweeping Britain. Séances were common, and the Queen famously consulted mediums in her grief for Prince Albert. One such séance, held at Osborne House, produced a message allegedly from beyond: beware the crown of winds and war. The words were dismissed as nonsense until the family's new name Windsor was chosen decades later. Some archivists claim the transcript of that séance vanished from the royal archives shortly after. Those who've researched for it speak of cold spots in the library and the lingering scent of burning myrrh. Skeptics call it superstition. Believers call it evidence that the royal fate is entangled with forces far older than politics. The curse, they argue, began not in Britain at all, but centuries earlier, when a German duchess defied a secret order bound by blood oaths and occult sigils. According to 18th century manuscripts, her descendants would wear crowns of gold, but hearts of glass. That duchess was an ancestor of both Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The prophecy claimed that every third generation would bear a child whose destiny was sacrificed to life taken or shattered to preserve the crown. When you follow the Windsor genealogy, the pattern is unnervingly consistent. Edward VIII's abdication, George VI's failing health, Diana's death. Even now, whispers linger around those who marry into the family, as if fate demands a toll. Beyond superstition, the Windsor line has faced more verified calamities than any other European monarchy still standing. Aircraft crashes, hunting accidents, fires, and illnesses strike in cycles that defy statistical odds. In 1992, Queen Elizabeth called it her annus horribilis, her horrible year, after Windsor Castle itself caught fire, as if the curse had come home to its name. Psychics later pointed out that fire was the second verse of Victoria's rhyme. One to fire. If prophecy holds, the final line, one to throne, remains unfulfilled. Who might it claim as the crown passed to Charles III? Some observers noted how eerily the new king's coronation mirrored astrological alignments from Victoria's reign. The same planet, Saturn, the ancient symbol of burden and karmic debt, hovered in Aquarius known as the House of Revolution. Coincidence, or cosmic echo. Even royal biographers admit there is something otherworldly in the repetition of sorrow within the line. The family that once symbolized divine right has become a mirror of human fragility. Yet the Windsor myth extends beyond astrology and accidents. Within Windsor Castle's Round Tower lies a sealed chamber rumored to hold artifacts inherited from centuries of imperial conquest. Egyptian scarabs, Roman relics, and an obsidian mirror said to belong to the Elizabethan magician John Dee. Legend claims that Dee's mirror used for communicating with angels was passed secretly through royal hands, its surface clouded with the reflections of those who dared gaze too long. Some say members of the family have consulted it in moments of crisis. Others insist it is the true source of the curse, a conduit linking the living monarchs to restless spirits bound to the crown. Security records note that the chamber's door was opened briefly after the 1992 fire and again following Diana's death in 1997. No explanation was ever given. Beneath the Gothic romance lies a deeper question. Are these events simply coincidences magnified by fame, or is there truly a metaphysical debt attached to royal blood? Anthropologists point out that throughout history, rulers were often considered semi-divine, their vitality tied to the land itself. When the king suffered, so did the kingdom. The British Isles, with their ancient druidic traditions, once practiced symbolic sacrifices to renew the soil and spirit. Could remnants of that belief linger within the monarchy's subconscious, manifesting as self-fulfilling prophecy? Every generation of Windsor seems to bear both privilege and punishment in equal measure. Elizabeth's decades of endurance brought stability, yet personal loss shadowed her every milestone. Charles waited longer than any heir in history, only to inherit a realm divided and disillusioned. William faces a world where monarchy itself feels fragile. The curse, if real, may not seek their deaths, but there disquiet the erosion of joy in exchange for endurance. When the cameras fade and the palace lights dim, one wonders if the royal family feels the weight of unseen eyes, ancient and unrelenting. Some courtiers have quietly acknowledged strange occurrences in royal residences. Clocks stopping at the exact hour of a predecessor's death. Portraits shifting slightly overnight. Unexplained chills in the chapel before royal funerals. At Sandringham, gamekeepers speak of hearing footsteps in the snow long after the grounds are cleared. And a woman in grey, perhaps the spirit of Queen Mary, wandering the corridor between the nursery and the ballroom. Haunting or memory? Maybe both. The Windsor curse might not be supernatural at all, but psychological, a generational echo of pressure, secrecy, and the impossible expectations of divine right. A curse born of guilt rather than magic, of empire rather than Yet for those who have looked too closely, the line between symbolism and sorcery blurs. Ancient letters archived in Bavaria reference the English branch of the cursed house and warn of the mirror that binds their souls. Whether myth or metaphor, the phrase repeats across centuries in languages far apart, yet strangely consistent. It seems that even the written record cannot forget. The name Windsor, chosen to sound purely British, translates symbolically as wind's gate or door of the storm. Perhaps unintentionally, King George V renamed his dynasty after the very elements the old prophecy described: winds and war. In mythology, to name something is to claim it, but also to call it forth. And maybe that is what the crown has done, summoned its own storm. Today, as Britain's royal family faces modern scrutiny, media intrusion, and fading faith, the ancient weight still lingers. The Windsors survive not because they are free of the curse, but because they carry it. Each scandal, each loss, each tragedy only deepens the legend, ensuring their immortality and collective memory. In the end, perhaps, the curse of the Windsor bloodline is not destruction, but enduranza, eternal cycle of being both adored and condemned, revered yet never at peace. Every monarch must wear two crowns, one of gold, one of shadow. The real question is, which one shines brighter? So the next time you see the royal standard flying above the castle, remember that it flutters not only in the wind of history, but in the breath of those unseen forces that still whisper through Britain's royal halls. The curse, they say, is not a spell, but a story that refuses to die. Thank you for watching. What do you think's it occurs? Coincidence? Or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories hidden in plain sight.